Well, hello. Today I want to talk about manifestation and why it's not working for you, but also want to give you some really simple ways of processing your problems. Okay, because really that's all it is. It's just problems have arisen and you don't know how to process them. So life itself, talking about processing, life itself is a process, but a very meaningful one. But we don't seem to think of our problems as meaningful. We tend to look at our problems as something is wrong with us. And when you first get into manifestation, or even when you've been doing it for a while, you may be in it for certain reasons. And a lot of people get into manifestation because it's sold to you as a way of having things, materialistic things, money in the bank, the nice car, the nice house, even a parking space. Yeah, all that sort of stuff, right? But that's how it's sold to you. And it's sold to us like that because we demand it. People want to buy stuff. They want to buy the quick fix. And so that's why it's sold to us in that way, because we will buy it. But it may leave you feeling empty, because this is the thing with manifestation, is that when you get into manifestation, you may not realize that it's the path to awakening. It's the path to awareness. So in that path of awakening, if you've awakened to yourself, you're going to know this is not a simple path. This is a path of knowing yourself, of waking up to yourself, of seeing how you really are. This is not a straightforward, happy-go-lucky path. It comes with problems, and you will have to face those problems, especially if you actually want to manifest what you desire into the world. And the thing is, we all manifest, every single one of us. No ifs, buts, or whys, we all manifest, but most of us are unconsciously manifesting what we don't like or what we don't enjoy, and we can't figure out why, or we don't care, or we don't believe in manifestation at all, and that's perfectly okay. But we want to consciously manifest into this world. So again, manifestation will show you what needs resolving, because you are on a path of doing something in life that you really want to do. And in doing so, you will come across resistance. It will naturally come up within your awareness, a fear, a belief or something, and then you won't know what to do. You won't know how to get past it, and something will be blocking you, and you won't know how to resolve it. And this because there is a contradiction between what you want in the world and who you believe that you are, or what you believe that you're capable of, or what you believe about the world. There's a contradiction. Something is out of alignment. So what is a problem? A problem is just something that you are in resistance to, something that you have an attachment to, but you unknowingly have an attachment to. You don't know it's there until the opportunity arises and it comes into your awareness. But this is the problem in life. The problem is the problem itself. This is the problem. We don't know how to process our problems, and we become bogged down in those problems. And then we're trying to figure out how to get over this problem. So we start searching outside of ourselves for the answers. We listen to that person, we read that thing, we watch that video, we take in all of this information, which creates more problems. Then we may, if our problem is very severe, we then may go to somebody else to get advice about our problem. And that person may give us a label or a diagnosis to say that something is wrong with us. And we then attach ourselves to that label and believe it's who we are. We have got another layer of attachment. This creates more problems and keeps us more stuck in our problem. But what if we chose to simplify everything and understand that our problem is simply that, just a problem. It is not a label, it is not a diagnosis, it is not who we are. It is just a problem. So what is the problem? Now you'll find I've said problem too many times. It's getting too much. So every problem is exactly the same. It doesn't matter how simple or how big. They're all the same. What do they include? Beliefs, emotions, and behaviours. All three. If we have a problem, what do we have to do to solve it? We have to look at these three aspects. If we want to manifest what we desire into the world, we have to look at those three aspects. If we want to do anything, identity, it's all about these three aspects. The magical three. It simplifies everything, okay? Because your beliefs, your emotions, and your behaviours lead to an outcome. No matter what, they lead to an outcome. So we can use these three things to process the problem. We can use the exact things to process the problem that they are causing. But how do you process your problem? And you probably don't know how. Remember, it's a simple problem, but you don't know how to process it. Why don't you know how to process it? Because you've never been taught. That's the reason why. It's not your fault. It's not anybody else's fault. You just don't know how. You were never taught. Your parents weren't taught. You didn't go to, well, you went to school, but they didn't teach you. If you go to your doctor, they won't teach you because they probably don't know how. Nobody knows how to process their problem. And this is because you will only understand something within yourself at your own level of awareness. So this is where your level of awareness has gotten to, right? You're stuck now because you don't know how to go beyond this. So you have to learn to go beyond this. So we look at those three aspects: beliefs, emotions, and behaviours. So any problem, you can look at these three aspects, but one may be prominent. So we can usually look at our behaviours. Our behaviours are quite prominent. We may come across something that we go, oh, I don't like how I do that. I don't like how I act. I don't like how I react to that all the time. Why do I always do this? So our behaviours are quite prominent, but I'll get to that in a minute. Beliefs first. So if you have a belief and you know what the belief is, you can process the belief by asking yourself some questions. What does this belief show about me? What is this showing about me? What is this saying about me? Be honest with yourself. Where has this belief come from? What are the memories? What is the earliest memory? I'm trying to think about questions. What's the evidence of this belief? Can I look at this evidence in any other way? What else could it be saying? You want to prove the belief wrong because the belief is just a story. It's a story you've been telling yourself from since you were probably little. It's not true and it's not who you are. You want to have that realization within yourself that this is not you and it's just a story you were telling. If you resolve the belief, you also resolve the emotional attachment that is attached to the belief, because all beliefs have an emotion that's attached to it, a feeling in the body that's attached, which will also resolve the behaviour. The behaviour will no longer be there anymore. You won't even have a need or a feeling to do it. Then you look at emotions. Now, emotions are the most important one. Often overlooked because we do not like to feel those feelings. But it is the most productive, the thing that will move the problem the most. So how do you feel? Well, this is the thing. Emotions sit in the body. All right, so emotions are the felt experience. It's like the unconscious mind living in your body, poking and prodding you when you don't want to be poked and prodded. If we didn't have emotions, we'd be robots. You'd have a belief, but you just have a belief. There would be nothing powering that into behaviour. There'd be nothing there. So our emotions give us the true experience of life. We're able to feel what we need to feel. So a lot of us are afraid of doing that, and especially if you have a lot of stuff that you haven't processed in life. And our emotions become stuck in our body because when that experience happened, we weren't fully processing how we felt. We were too busy being scared, or we were too busy, going through this horrible experience. We didn't think, oh, I should sit here for 5 minutes and just process my emotions. I should just fully feel. That would have been handy, but it's not how it happens. But now you've gotten to this space where you want to resolve your problem, and you notice the emotions coming into your body. You can do this even with something subtle. The emotion doesn't have to be strong. It can be just something subtle that you feel. You can do it with everything, because everything has emotion. Just take the time to fully relax through your body. It doesn't take long, a couple of breaths, and allow yourself to fully feel the emotions that you are feeling. It will only take 1 to 2 minutes, and then fully allow them to dissipate naturally. 1 to 2 minutes. That's all it takes. When you get into that habit, you will not only resolve your problem, but you'll start to regulate your nervous system. Because in manifestation, we talk about the regulation of the nervous system a little bit. I've heard other people talk about it. And it's an important aspect. A simple exercise to start regulating your nervous system is to fully feel what you are feeling. It's all I've ever done. It is the best exercise to do, and it is a natural, normal part of our human experience. When you do this, you will resolve a belief. You will also resolve the behavior. It's exactly the same. You don't need to focus on the belief. You don't need to focus on the behavior. You can just allow yourself to feel. Very important exercise. Now, we're going to behaviors now, not back to beliefs. Behaviors. How do we resolve a problem? Through looking at the behavior. Now, this is the more difficult one, but it still can be done. It may take longer, but if you pair it with feeling your emotions, it's faster. So many years ago, I had this obsessive behavior, and I was fighting myself. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy who I was. Why am I doing this? Why am I like this? And I was fighting myself constantly. And one day I went, I've had enough. And I fully surrendered to it. And if you have any problem, you have to fully surrender to the problem. Fully surrendering to your problem is fully relaxing through your body, letting it go, because mind and body are one. You're thinking in your head, but you're feeling in your body. It's got to be the whole thing. So fully relax through your body. And I surrendered to this by not only doing that, but having a talk with myself and saying, look, I know you do this. I don't like it. I don't like the way you behave. It's really frustrating. It makes me angry. But you know what? Go right ahead. I'm just going to surrender. I'm just going to back off. You behave how you want. You do whatever you want. I don't care anymore, but I am not going to fight you. That's what I said to myself, and I fully surrendered to it. There were a couple more times where I had some resistance starting to come up in my body, and I went, no. You behave how you want. Do what you like. I'm not going to fight you anymore. Just do what you want. That's it. And I surrendered to it. That in itself fully changes what's going on, fully changes the behavior and the emotions that are pushing that behavior. I didn't do the process of fully feeling my emotions at the time though. I don't know why. I knew about this, but I just didn't do it. And it wasn't until 2 months later where I fully resolved this problem, because the limiting belief that was behind it popped up into my head. And it popped up and I went, oh, I'm chasing rejection. That's what I was doing. But it's in the surrender and the space that you give yourself, and in the silence, in the stillness, that's when things come to the surface. Things don't come to the surface when your mind is full of noise. So you've got to surrender to every problem that you are having. You won't resolve a problem by fighting it. You resolve it by surrendering to it and then doing the work. Another behavioral one that I had, this was a few years ago as well, this is further back. It was drinking beer after work. I didn't want to drink beer after work. I used to do it every afternoon. And I would do this thing where something would happen and I would feel tension come into my body. And as soon as it happened, I would go to the fridge like a zombie, get the beer out and drink the beer. And then I would relax. This was my daily occurrence. And I started to think, what's going on here? So I started to think, all right, what's happening right before I feel that urge to go and get the beer? Right before that tension comes into my body, what was happening? What was I seeing? What was I doing? What was I thinking? What was I feeling? Now the feeling was the tension. And that tension was driving me towards the fridge to get the beer. But what I noticed, and this was a few years back, and I was having problems in my relationship. And every single afternoon when my partner would come, drive up into the driveway, as soon as I would hear that or see that, the tension would come into my body. And automatically I'd go to the fridge, zombified, and I'd grab the beer and drink it. And drinking it gave me relaxation. The tension would be gone. The reward was the relaxation. So I noticed that's what I was doing. And so the next day, I disrupted that pattern, all right? Because that's what this is. You're disrupting the pattern. And so I disrupted the pattern and I stopped drinking. Very simple. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But this is how we resolve our problems, through looking at these three aspects of the problem itself. The repetitive cycle that it is. Even when you have a look at your identity, you might want to change your identity. I want to be this person that I truly am. But there's a problem in the way. I have a fear, or I have a belief about myself. It's the same thing. And then you resolve the problem, your identity naturally shifts. So you become the person that you truly are. Now, I'm going to put a link down below. I do have a little booklet on, it's called Rewire, Mind Shift. It would actually tell you about that simple exercise of noticing what happens right before the behavior, so you can disrupt the pattern and resolve it. Okay, but also remember, it's so important to fully relax through your body, surrender to what is, and fully feel your emotions. I can't emphasize that enough, because that is what helped me heal through everything. And now I'm able to manifest what I desire into my life. There is nothing in the way anymore. There's no beliefs, there's no emotions, and there's no behaviors stopping me. And that's what I want for you as well. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope I haven't forgotten anything in this. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love.